Why are new launches so cheap now? At least that is what the crowd in the show flat are telling us. Let's talk about this today. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we'll be looking into the new launch market and whether the price will drop as we approach 2026. Before you flame me for saying new launches are cheap, in this video we are going to go through data and reports and come up with a reasonable explanation, and by the end of this video we'll reassess whether new launches are cheap and how you can still find value buys. But before we start, do me a favor, click the like button and subscribe if you have not subscribed to our channel. Share this with a friend who you know is upgrading. Thank you. And here is what we are going to talk about today. Who are the buyers that is snapping up all the new launch supply? Market factors that driving the purchases? What can we expect for the prices in 2026? Where can you find new launches that are cheap and good? And lastly, I'll close with my personal opinions. So who are those buyers that are snapping up all the new launches in the market today? First of all, we know that the HDB resale market has been the fuel for the new launch market. Those HDB owners who aspire to upgrade or build their wealth in a higher value properties, they got their capital from selling their HDBs. And in 2024, we have a total of 1,035 transactions of HDB that crossed $1 million mark. And that number rose to $1,116 million HDB in 2025, just up until early September. And to break it down further, in 2025, we saw every month we have more than 100 transactions of HDB that crossed $1 million. In fact, most of the months are around the number of 140 transactions. As compared to 2024, you are seeing an average of about 90 transactions that cross $1 million mark. So that means in 2025, every month we see about 50% increase in the number of HDB millionaires coming into the market, possibly buying up one of the supply in the new launch market. Of course, not every upgrader is a HDB millionaire, but this statistics tells us that there is very high liquidity in the HDB resale market, and that creates higher demand for private homes. Another piece of statistics that we are looking at is Q2 2025. We saw that 66% of the new launch transaction done is at 2.5 million or lower, and that is excluding the EC transactions. So is 2.5 million cheap? Well, for the large part of the HDB upgraders, the answer is actually yes. Do drop your comment below if you think 2.5 million for a new launch is cheap today. But apart from having this liquidity and capital in their hands, what is actually driving the purchasing behavior that we are seeing right now? So this purchasing behavior is also encouraged by the rising income and the interest rates. According to SingStats, household income has been steadily increasing. I know most people will not agree that income is rising, but if you read the statistics, after factoring inflation, the income is still increased. What does that mean? Means that they have already factored in the inflation rate, and over on top of that, there is an increase in the income. And not just that, the mortgage rates is also very encouraging for purchasers, because not long ago we saw that the rates are actually 4.5%. Here's a chart that you can see tracking back to 2023 where rates are sky high, and back then we are talking about 4.5% interest rates, and today we are looking at sub 2% with trends showing that it may go a little bit lower. And this means that the monthly installment can be lowered by the thousands. For example, if you take 2.5 million as the purchase price, and at 75% loan and 30 years of loan tenure at 4.5%, you are paying $9,500 every month. But at today's interest rate, you are talking about 6,000 plus, and that is about $2,700 lower in terms of monthly installment. That gives a lot of buyers confidence in their holding power. Of course, at this point, I want to put in a word of caution. Always plan a buffer. Rates can rise again. Yes, TDSR do screen your financial health, but I think personal discipline is still the key. If you are not sure how much buffer to plan for, you can use our asset framework to rate affordability based on personal finances. Reach out to me over here and I'll send a copy to you. So with affordability improving, developers pricing their launches well, this is the main driving factor for all the high take-up rates in the recent launches. And talking about pricing their launches well, this is something interesting. Why are we seeing launches priced lower when they are GFA harmonized, and that's supposed to increase the cost of developer? For example, Lentor Hills Residences was sold at an average of $2,186 per square foot, while at the same time, Lentor Central Residences was launching and they start their launch price at $1,982 per square foot. So the argument is, at that point of time where Lentor Central Residences was launching, the market was accepting a price of $2,100 to $2,200 per square foot. However, the developer chose to launch at below $2,000 per square foot. So that is an example of why developers are launching at good prices right now, even though that the launch is actually GFA harmonized, and we know that GFA harmonization actually costs developer more with less strata space to sell to the buyers. So the reason why they can do that is land cost. For Lentor Central Residences, the developer acquired the land at $982 per square foot per plot ratio. Compared to Lentor Hills Residences, the developer actually got the land at $1,060 per square foot per plot ratio. So having gotten the land cheaper at $982 per square foot per plot ratio, the developer actually passed some of the savings back to the buyers, making that launch price more palatable. So if you catch a project with low land cost coupled with the right market condition, you might just be able to secure a better entry price. So talking about entry price, the question is, will we still see good entry prices coming 2026? This is where land cost is the main driver. In 2025, we saw quite a few OCR land parcels being acquired over $1,300 per square foot per plot ratio. What does that mean? Just a year earlier in 2024, those prices are the kind of prices that were transacting for the central area land parcels. For example, a land plot that was acquired at $1,388 per square foot per plot ratio, they will have an estimated break even of $2,343 per square foot. If you add 20% of developer profit margin onto that price, you are looking at about $2,800 per square foot on the average. Now the question is that still sellable at $2,800 per square foot? In fact, at $2,800 per square foot for a 3-bedroom that is harmonized, you should be expecting about 2.56 million, which is still at the sweet spot for the upgraders. So is it still sellable? I think it will still sell, especially when the project will come with good location, good amenities. I think upgraders will still go for that kind of price tag. But of course, today, if you are able to enter at a much lower price, that is definitely built-in profit for those that enter earlier. So let's be clear, expecting a lower entry price for a higher land cost is actually quite impossible. So now you might ask, where can you still find cheap and good new launches? And here is where I spill the tea. Before that, let me explain why is there such a big gap between land cost in 2024 and land cost in 2025. If you notice, at the end of 2023 and in the year 2024, there were quite a lot of land plots being acquired at a reasonable low price. Examples include Lentor Central Residences, Springleaf Residence, and an upcoming Faber Residence. Of course, there's quite a few more. If you are keen to know which are the land plots that are bidded and acquired lower than the market rate, hit me up and I'll send it all to you. But why in that period of time, all the developers are actually behaving the same way? It's not because of financial downturn, but because of this one single thing which we just mentioned earlier, is GFA harmonization. So GFA harmonization was announced in September 2022 and it will come into effect only in June 2023. So after that, in the second half of 2023, developers do not have enough data and have not launched any projects that is under the GFA harmonization. So that means that they do not have the experience in calculating how much profit can they have, which means all the developers are facing the same problem, not able to have clarity, which leads to a less aggressive bid. So the number of bids gets fewer and less aggressive, which leads to lower land costs. You have probably seen some videos about a certain region with many land plots and how the number of bids actually get lower. That is not because the area is unattractive or oversupply. That is basically developers facing an unknown. Fast forward back to 2025, developers has now launched more than a year of GFA harmonized projects. A lot of data is in their hand, they have more precise calculations, and they have regained confidence in the land bids. And that explains why in 2025, the land bids shot back up. We are back in aggressive land acquisition mode, and so having that higher land cost definitely means that developer cannot go anywhere under. But like how I have illustrated earlier, with a $1,388 per square foot per plot ratio land cost, it will still be palatable for upgraders for 3-bedroom at around 2.5 million. So you don't have to worry if you are not ready. But if you are ready and need my consult, hit me out over here and I'll always be happy to help. And the way I look at it is 2024 land bids is like a glitch in the system where prices supposed to go in a more linear direction. However, it took a hit and plateau a while, but it caught up in 2025 again. Those who recognize it definitely has already secured their good entry prices. And again, if you would like me to walk you through the exact same data and identify the best entry points, DM me directly and I'll be happy to share more details with you. And coming to a close, I just want to say that as we approach the end of 2025, there will be a burst of new launches coming into the market for the last quarter. And among them may be a chance to secure your good entry to build your property well for the next 4 years. If you're planning to move and want to consult, reach out to me, the link is below, or just DM me directly. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel because it's absolutely free and it helps this channel a ton. Thank you very much, and this is Ron signing off. Bye.